Students take to the streets following IU's decision not to send out an IU Notify alert after the shooting homecoming weekend.
A popular tourist town just 30 minutes outside Bloomington may be at risk for a big change. A large part of downtown Nashville is going up for auction. And
have you heard of the IU Cannon Crew? We'll go inside this tradition at every IU home football game. IU NewsNet, straight ahead.
hello and welcome to IU NewsNet. I'm Katrina Nickel.
And I'm Carly Van Cleve. Several developments are unfolding after the double shooting over homecoming weekend. IU freshman Sharikis Jones has been identified as one of the victims of the shooting. She faces a long recovery after the bullet exploded inside her diaphragm. The second victim, a male, has not been publicly identified. Next, the tenants of the university-owned house where the shooting took place are moving out against their will. And thousands of students are wondering why an IU Notify alert was never sent out about the shooting. It was the focus of a protest at the sample gates and a petition, which now has over 3,000 signatures.
IU confirms the freshman who was hit in the back by a bullet as she left the party is a standout student from Indianapolis who is here at IU on a full scholarship. Meanwhile, the controversy over the failure to issue a campus-wide alert is picking up momentum. It started as a party that turned into a shooting, and now students are protesting. Shots fired, alert required! Shots fired, alert required! It has been over a week since the shooting that wounded 2 people at an off-campus IU rental property occurred, and an IU Notify alert was never sent.
With the information that we had, there was no ongoing and immediate threat to the campus or the campus community. Therefore, an IU Notify was not sent out.
Despite one arrest, police later said a second suspect may still be at large. Some students and one tenant of the house, Grant Mitchell, are feeling
IU has mishandled an extreme security measure.
Notify us! Notify us! However, sending too many alerts raises concern for IU. That if they notify the community too many times, it would diffuse the purpose to take immediate action and believe there are other alternatives like Twitter and news services to stay updated. IU wants people to know
it's not a news service, and that's not what IU Notify is for. We are to provide information that is actionable.
The so-called Brick House, a frequent site of parties, is just 3 blocks off campus, owned by the university but leased to students.
At first, they said we didn't send out an alert because it took place off campus, off-campus property. And now they're saying that we need to be evicted because we caused a shooting that happened on campus property.
Since dozens of students were there and a freshman was among the wounded, IU is reviewing its guidelines.
But all of these are always under review because these are humans making the decision, and we have to make the best decision that we can. But again, I think the main thing is we may adjust something with IU Notify to make it better. We're always trying to do that.
Now, the lack of an IU Notify alert is not the only issue that has stemmed from the shooting incident now over a week ago.
Now to a second controversy. This one is over the forced exit of the tenants of the Brick House, the university-owned property where the shooting took place. And some students are not taking the decision lightly. Last Friday, students took to the streets to seek what they call justice for the tenants. The university gave them just 4 days to pack up and leave the house. Their choices were to be evicted or agree to move out. Why? The university says for several reasons. For operating as a business, minors drinking alcohol, and having a non-IU student living there. IU has given the tenants free emergency housing in the meantime, but the tenants say they are still seeking a fair solution.
Accepting that we are going to leave the house, and that's fine, but we don't agree with the fact that IU shouldn't be held accountable for anything that has ever or will ever happen in the house. Until they give us an agreement that we think is fair, we will not be signing it.
The tenants tell us that they have hired a lawyer and intend to proceed carefully with their next legal move.
A longtime IU employee is accused of embezzling more than $300,000 from the IU Foundation. An audit uncovered the loss on August 21st, and police took over the investigation just 2 weeks later. IU says the suspect was immediately dismissed from the job. The FBI is in on the investigation. A parking meter cleanup is underway near downtown Bloomington. Police say someone sprayed pink paint on the front side of the meters and sprayed green on the back, and they put expanding foam in the coin slots. Most of the meters vandalized were near the Monroe County Courthouse. Authorities urge people to use the Park mobile app, which is still operational.
And just 30 minutes from Bloomington, you can find one of the top tourist attractions in the state. Nashville is known for its beautiful fall colors and quaint village, but a big portion of that village is now on the auction block. IU NewsNet's Michaela Demesny joins us with the story.
On Wednesday, the day before Halloween, 16 Nashville properties will go on the auction block, both residential and commercial. The owner, known for his red hat, was called the Walt Disney of Nashville by one shop owner. Frank Andy Rogers died last year. His family decided to auction off the many familiar buildings that house a large number of shops. It makes some of the shop owners nervous about their future.
You know, when the first time I heard it, I thought, okay, what do I do? Close up and go online? Move the shop? You know, just give up and find something else to do? I just didn't know. But, you know, at this point, I just say it's going to work out.
It is not clear what the auction will mean to the future of the shops. It takes place at the Brown County Historical Society at 1 on Wednesday, October 30th. We will bring you updates after the auction next week. Have you ever been to Nashville, guys? Like, how do you feel about this?
I was just there 2 weeks ago. I mean, I love it down there. It's just a little quaint town.
Yeah, I usually go every year with my family, so.
It's too bad.
Yeah.
But speaking of Brown County, it's time for the weekly check of the changing colors.
And for that, we'll go to the Brown County leaf cam. You can see this week a lot more reds, yellows, and oranges are coming out. Again, if you're unable to go out and see the changing fall leaves for yourself, the Brown County leaf cam updates every 15 minutes at browncounty.com.
And have you been to the Lilly Library recently? Well, soon it's going to become difficult to access the library's resources, and we'll tell you why.
And airplanes, hot air balloons, and telescopes, all on display for the public at the Monroe County Airport. We'll take you there next on IU NewsNet.
The historic Lilly Library here on the IU campus is about to close for a lengthy renovation.
IU NewsNet's Libby Grossman is here to tell us what you need to know before the close.
The Lilly Library is home to 8.5 million manuscripts and nearly 500,000 books. This vast collection is usually easily accessible to scholars, students, staff, and the public. But in early December, it's going to be more difficult to access. The Lilly Library is closing for renovations on December 6th and will be closed until 2021. During that time, the collection must be moved to secure off-site storage. Because of this, researchers like famed author Dan Wakefield are under a new deadline with the materials they need.
Well, it has a very good effect because I have to get going fast. I would like to do all that I need to do before December 6th.
During renovations, materials can still be accessed, not here. Here at the Herman B. Wells Library, where a temporary appointment-only reading room is going to be set up. Librarians ask that you make requests well in advance to give them time to move materials from the off-site storage to the reading room. Most of the books and manuscripts will be available, but a small portion will not, and a full list is available on the Lilly Library website, along with many digitized files that are available at all times. Librarians will also be working throughout the renovations to continue to upload digitized files for the public. Now back to you.
Artificial intelligence is coming soon to IU. After IU graduate Fred Luddy donated $60 million to launch a program in the School of Informatics. The gift came just last week. The university says the focus of the project will be on digital health. The money will go towards a new building, the Luddy Center for Artificial Intelligence. It will be a part of IU's School of Informatics, Computing and Engineering. Fred Luddy was a major donor in the construction of Luddy Hall itself.
Soon, driving to and from Indianapolis will take a lot longer. That's right, more construction is coming. The Indiana Department of Transportation revealed the final plans for I-69, which we know is State Road 37. You've already seen the cones, but coming in 2021, a 5-mile stretch of State Road 37 will be shut down completely with a detour on State Road 39 and 67. The section from Martinsville to Indianapolis is the final part of the project and won't be completed until 2024. IU freshmen will be graduates by then. For staff and students commuting to and from Indianapolis for classes or internships, the construction is already frustrating.
Already far enough of a drive by itself when you have to commute as a student. Like, it's not like you're commuting for a job, especially in journalism, it's unpaid. So it makes it even more difficult when there's construction going on, and I have to kind of weave through that and try to figure out my timing and still get to where I need to be on time.
INDOT has opened an office in Martinsville and is encouraging the public to follow the progress on Twitter and Instagram.
And if you're tired of traveling by car, how about planes, hot air balloons, and telescopes? In celebration of the 50th anniversary of man landing on the moon, WTIU and Monroe County Airport hosted what they call Flight Night. Monroe County Airport opened its gates to the community Saturday night. Many families had tours of the airport, hot air balloon rides, and even the opportunity to steer grounded airplanes. The WTIU community outreach event also gave attendees the chance to watch Apollo's mission to the moon, Ready, Jet, Go, and provided fun activities like the WTIU Learning Lab for children,
which has a lot of STEM education and PBS Kids games loaded onto iPads. So we try to make sure that we're tying our content to the community and that we're extending the lessons that we teach beyond the screen.
The Monroe County Airport is hoping to host annual community events in the future.
The third Wednesday of every month, a Bloomington coffee shop turns into a science cafe. The idea originated in the UK to create a place where scientists get together casually to talk about their research with the public and with each other. In Bloomington, it happens at Hopscotch Coffee Shop on Dodd Street.
You hear about research on TV or whatever in the newspaper, you don't really get a chance to actually talk to scientists and ask them questions and hear them talk about their research and see how they think.
Every Science Cafe speaker addresses a different topic. Past topics have included gravity, biodiversity, and obesity. All events are free. Hopscotch hosts the next Science Cafe on Wednesday, November 20th at 7 in the evening.
And I'm sure you've already seen people in Halloween costumes around campus. Well, if that didn't scare you, the annual Ghost Walk might. The walk took attendees through campus after dark on Tuesday night, hosted by the Folklore and Ethnomusicology Student Association. The Campus Ghost Walk takes people through IU's most chilling ghost stories, tales of IU's secret tunnels, the Dunn Cemetery, and more.
I think really it's just about letting people know about belief. I think it's interesting to put out there what others connect with certain places and certain contexts and just share them, put out the knowledge.
The FESA Campus Ghost Walk happens each year around Halloween.
And Griffin Gonzalez joins us next with IU NewsNet Sports.
A big game for the Hoosiers in Maryland, and another win could put them in the hunt for a bowl bid. Stay with us.
IU football has its eyes on the prize. The team is one game short of bowl eligibility.
And Griffin Gonzalez joins us in studio with the wrap-up.
And one game short, guys, and it's not even November yet. It is crazy to think about. In fact, that's where we're going to start our sports segment today. Thank you, guys, once again. In Maryland this past weekend, Indiana football pulled off one of their gutsiest wins of the season, and IU NewsNet's Connor Hines took the trip himself.
The first words out of Tom Allen's mouth postgame, "I'm tired," and rightfully so, as Indiana grinded its way to another win, narrowly defeating Maryland 34-28 and inching a game closer to bowl eligibility. It was anything but a pretty 60 minutes of football, but that, in more ways than one, might have been the biggest part of Saturday night's victory in College Park.
The defense grows in confidence because of tonight, and you don't learn that, when you're, on the sideline and things are easy. You learn it when you're on the field, and you have to step up and make a play. And we've been through all these over the years and the tough losses that we've been through, but the team has to learn how to win, and I think we took a step in that direction tonight.
Indiana's 5th win of 2019 truly did see a little bit of everything, including a first-half injury to quarterback Michael Penix, whose future remains uncertain. But what Penix's replacement did in relief, all the more impressive.
I'm just so proud of Peyton Ramsey. He chose to stay for this football team, and that's why I respect him so much. He made a choice, and not just to stay, but to be prepared every week. I mean, he prepared this week to be the starter, even though he may not even play a snap. That's hard to do.
As Hoosier fans are quickly learning, this is an Indiana team that will be forced to make do with what it has moving forward. And that's perfectly okay. Call it scrappy, call it gritty, call it whatever you'd like. With Saturday night's victory at Maryland, Indiana is one game away from clinching that all-important 6th win.
Thanks, Connor. Now let's look at the remaining schedule for the Cream and Crimson. Now, according to the FPI rating system, a rating system that estimates a team's win probability, gives the Hoosiers a 52% chance to pick up win number 6 this weekend in Nebraska, and predicts Indiana will finish the remaining 5 games with a record of 3-2, taking their win total to 8-4. Now, that 8-4 record would be the first time the Hoosiers would find 8 wins in a season since 1988. Whew. Now let's go ahead and head to the pitch where the Indiana men's soccer team was back in action earlier this week. And after a disappointing 3-0 loss to reigning national champion Maryland, it's pretty safe to say the Hoosiers were ready to go. Yeah, this past Tuesday night, the men's soccer squad faced off against the Evansville Aces, and it was actually the Hoosiers acing this test from the get-go, as Indiana striker Spencer Glass had a fantastic goal in the first minute, as Victor Becerra and A.J. Palazzolo both add 2 of their own to end the first half with a 3-zip lead for the Hoosiers. In the second, a goal by Jesse Stafford-Lacey would get the Aces on the board, but wouldn't slow down the attack of Thomas War and Trey Capsalis, as the Hoosiers walk away but winners by a final score of 5-1. The Hoosiers now stand 3 games out of the Big Ten tournament, and they will look to take game 1 of those 3 this Friday against the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Let's now keep the ball rolling here. On to women's soccer we go. Now, the Indiana Hoosiers were expected to have a rebuild season under first-year head coach Erwin Van Bennekom, but so far, the Hoosiers have actually impressed many, as their combination of stout defense with patient offense has been paying off in conference play. The Hoosiers have an overall record of 7 wins, 7 losses, and 2 draws, with 2 more games remaining against pretty lesser teams in the conference. And if Indiana can find a way to win both, they will find themselves to be a top 8 team and headed to the Big Ten tournament in New Jersey. Now, the Hoosiers have one of the biggest games on their schedule coming up this weekend, as they will host the Purdue Boilermakers in a battle for the Golden Boot. That one is slated to take place at Sunday at 1 o'clock. Now, Indiana's explosive offense this year has always had fans on the edge of their seat at Memorial Stadium, excited for the very next play. However, there's one tradition that always keeps fans on their toes. IU NewsNet's Drew Fry joins us with the details. Drew?
Thanks, Griffin. Now let me ask you a question. Have you ever thought a particular football game needed a bang? Maybe the atmosphere needed a spark? Well, the IU Cannon Crew has got you covered. Every time Indiana scores points in a football game is unique, but one thing always stays the same. Whether it's a field goal, a short run, or a big pass, the Cannon Crew is there to celebrate with a bang.
We all really want to fire the cannons. It's a lot of fun to hear the blast, and it's just a lot of fun to set up and work together as a team to really show the stadium like who we are as a club and as a program. It really is the best publicity for that.
They score, that's already motivating enough, and then it's, there's a cannon going off. What else could you say?
I'm standing outside Memorial Stadium where Big Jake is locked away inside. But let me tell you, if you're standing next to that cannon when IU scores during one of their football games, you have to be ready for when they fire!
It's also very symbolic to shoot a cannon off, very powerful, kind of gets the crowd a little fired up, at least we think so, it gets us fired up, and it's just a nice way to add on to the celebration after a touchdown.
And once the cadets fire the blank charge from Big Jake, that's when the push-ups begin. 1 for each point scored, plus the total already on the board.
Our guys at Ohio State only did about 13 push-ups the entire game. Meanwhile, for Eastern Illinois, they did the math, and it was about at least 200, maybe closer to 300.
Although IU doesn't have a mascot to celebrate whenever the Hoosiers score, the cannon brings its own special flair to each home football game.
A lot of teams utilize, a chant, or I've seen big bells that they ring, or, a dog catching a frisbee, whatever. The cannon's cooler.
The cannon will be on duty for the next few home games before it's packed up until next year. You can find the Cannon Crew in the south end zone of every Hoosiers home game. They'll be in action November 2nd next when the Hoosiers host Northwestern University.
Wow, awesome job, Drew. And I'll tell you, we won't hear that touchdown cannon this weekend. It's a road game, but IU definitely going to need some touchdowns to be able to knock off the Cornhuskers this weekend.
Are you making it to Nebraska for the game this weekend?
Yep, 2 road trips, 9 hours each way. It's going to be a real fun trip.
Perfect. Oh, yeah. That's a lot. Well, thanks, Griffin. That's all we have for you today on IU NewsNet. Be sure to check out our Facebook page and our website for more. That's go.iu.edu/IU NewsNet. I'm Carly Van Cleve.
And I'm Katrina Nickel. We'll see you next week for all the latest Bloomington news that's important to you. Thanks for watching.